A live-action Janeway series seems very likely, but what does it need to be successful? Let's talk. Hey Trekkies, Christian Fox here with another video for you. As you probably know, this past weekend was New York Comic Con, and at Comic Con, Kate Mulgrew hinted at the possibility of a live-action Janeway series, and it seems like it's very likely to happen. Now, I loved Voyager, I really enjoy the show, and very much want this live-action series to be a real thing. But when thinking about a live-action Janeway show, presumably going to be called Janeway, there are 5 things that I think the show needs to do to make it the best possible series. Number 1, bring back the entire Voyager cast. Season 3 of Picard is almost here, and I'm excited because we'll finally get to see the TNG crew back in action. But there's always a possibility that this could be terrible. I didn't love season 1. I know generally season 1 was not well led by the fan base. I like season 2 a lot more, but again, that wasn't really well received by the fan base. So there's a real possibility that season 3 of TNG could be terrible. And that would be really bad because this is going to be the last time we get to see the TNG crew. And the last time the TNG crew would appear was Nemesis. And we all know how that turned out. By having the entire crew of Voyager return from the get-go, it actually gives the creative team behind Janeway to get feedback from the first season and to make course corrections on the show so that season 2 and season 3 and whatever the final season of the series happens to be is the best possible series. Now, I'm not saying that season 1 is going to be awful. I think it's going to be great. But generally speaking, it often takes time for a show to find itself. And when you have a first season, it can be a little bit rough. But then, by the time they get feedback, they can course correct. So season 2 is much stronger. It also prevents viewers like myself from watching an episode, but getting distracted because they're constantly thinking about who may or may not appear in the series, something that I myself am very guilty of. Number 2, address Janeway's actions in Endgame. In the final episode of Voyager, the future Admiral Janeway comes back in time from the future and alters the future timeline to bring the crew back home decades earlier. Well, not uncommon in Trek because, well, it's Star Trek, what always bothered me was the future timeline didn't seem dire enough to warrant her actions. I think there's a real opportunity for this series to explore the consequences of her actions and the impact that it's had on the timeline. Number 3, grapple with Ebbs' death in Picard. One of the most shocking things in Picard was Ebbs' brutal death. It, to me, felt unnecessarily graphic and just unnecessary because what did it do? Okay, Seven was upset and had to fight for him, but that was it. It didn't seem like there was any reason to it, and it seemed like it was done just more for shock value. Now, I'm not saying that the Janeway series needs to undo his death, though I wouldn't be upset if he came back to life because I love Ebbs, but it just needs to explore the death in a thoughtful way and maybe to show us the impact that it's had on people like Seven and people like the Doctor and people like Naomi, because we all know they were all very, very close. Basically just something to give his death a little bit of meaning. Number 4, resolve unresolved storylines. The big ones that come to mind are Ensign Kim not getting promoted, which has become a really big meme, the relationship between Tom Paris and his father, Admiral Paris, and of course, the romantic relationship between Chakotay and the captain. So hopefully the Janeway series would actually try and bring some closure to these storylines. Number 5, do justice to Wicker characters. Well, Voyager did an amazing job of developing characters like the Doctor, 7 of 9, and Captain Janeway. They did a real disservice to the other members of the cast, especially when looking at people like Harry Kim and Chakotay. I think for the show to be absolutely successful, and if they are going to come back, they need to really give those characters the depth that they deserved in the original run. If you missed Mulgrew's full comments, then check out the video right here. And if you missed my thoughts on the latest Picard trailer, then check out the video right below. And as always, I shall see you out there. That away.